Sometimes when you look at old topics from a different perspective, you find that you've overlooked something. I've maintained that everything in role-playing games needs to revolve around a plot, but I never told you how to choose one. Note that I said choose one and not build one because familiarity is an important thing with plots. Building one is an option, but not a preferable option. So, plotting out your game involves either understanding genres, designing with a lens in mind, or both. Long conversations with my friend Rob Paterson of These fame, and he's been an editor of mine and teaches writing at college. And it also involves a lot of narratology reading, studying, and reading analyses of different genres to give me a basic understanding of this. It also involves a lot of reading critically. Reading critically involves thinking about what you're reading instead of just reading for entertainment, and it's really important. So, I've learned that a lot of genres like superheroes, mysteries, romances, fantasy stories are written with a specific story in mind. Yet, yes, most genre stories are broken in one way or another, but most of the pattern usually remains as part of the story. That's part of what makes it a genre, the generality. Let's explore Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, because it's used a lot in fantasy, including The Hobbit, science fiction such as Star Wars, and the legends of most cultures. It is the classic teenage story. The plot involves the hero being dissatisfied with home, leaving it, finding a mentor, encountering an obstacle, having the mentor removed somehow, learning something and then having the mentor removed. The hero overcomes the obstacle and then brings that learning home. Of course, in Star Wars, these plot points can be jumbled up, or The Hobbit as well. For example, Luke returns home early, only it's no longer his home, and thus he begins a new journey out to destroy the new Death Star. Bilbo is accosted by his mentor before he leaves. There are also genres like Cyberpunk, which have two different plots. The first one is action-focused. It's used by RPGs like Android. This requires only short-term resolution. The other, Social Rebellion, is represented by Gears of Defiance. This requires long-term resolution. Which will your game use? Possibly a combination of both. But sometimes you want to emphasize just how ridiculous the genre is. This sort of plot follows the genre story to a T, but exaggerates everything to create satire or parody. You can also mix genres, bring the plot of one genre into another, like bringing the poor impulse control genre of story into Fiasco's science fiction playset, in which they're exploring Mercury. Usually you don't want your astronauts to have poor impulse control. So another type of plot is the gaming genre. These are the plots of the serial story, a story that never ends. Most RPGs, including D&D, use this sort of plot by repeating the same plot over and over. Because that gets boring, it's often dressed up, such as quests involving fighting monsters, caravans that need saving from monsters, princesses that need rescuing from monsters, and so on. Other times, you want to tell a completely different story. This requires a different lens, such as the indigenous lens used by Dog Eat Dog. A lens is just a different way of looking at the story. Lenses include anti-racism, anti-colonialism, feminism, fascism, or any other philosophical position. You can even combine philosophies if you want a more complicated story. But this often goes beyond adapting a plot into custom building a plot. That's not always easy and not always desirable. As I said before, people like a level of familiarity. Some bigger games have multiple typical plots, such as the intrigue or the adventure plots found in Legend of the Five Rings. This often occurs naturally as you simulate very different aspects of the world, but it isn't recommended for smaller games. Well, know that whatever your plot is, it'll be changed by the characters. That's not just okay, it's what you want. Anyways, that's what I've been thinking about. Have yourself a great day. And Dewey,